the damages to the brain has got to be really quite progressed before most routine scans will pick it up.
I remember getting hit in the forehead, brushed it off and thought nothing of it, I'll crack on. And it wasn't until it was a couple of minutes later where I then had my head in the wrong place for another tackle and then had a head-on-head collision. And then I remember not much after.
I have no recollection of the 2 days before.
Yeah.
I've seen a video of the tackle, I don't remember it, and I don't remember 2 days afterwards.
And I was like, I'm fine. I mean, really, like, it was a bit of a headache, I was alright. And then they were like, no, you can't play anymore.
After this operation, I could no longer play rugby. Yet you still hear of people doing the opposite and having a head injury and returning. So what is it that lets them be able to return? The majority of people within this video will have had a concussion at some stage, yet are still back out playing. So I first spoke to Professor Bill Ribbons to try and find out how players get concussions.
As I said, the impact doesn't have to be directly to the head-on-head. It can be from an impact on the body lower down. And as we all understand, the brain's a very delicate tissue inside this hard case. And when it sustains an impact, either directly or indirectly, it gets knocked around inside the bony case. And what we believe is probably the most important is when they get rotational, torsional injuries, which damage the supporting structures around the brain, which cause it injury. I think enough is enough. The problem, however, of course, is that unlike a broken leg or a torn cruciate ligament, which we can see on scan and images, the damages to the brain has got to be really quite progressed before most routine scans will pick it up. Yes, there are some research tools with very expensive imaging that can pick up more dynamic changes, but they're not available at the moment to everybody who needs assessment.
But how easy do the players find it to tell they have the concussion? And then how long do they find their wait is to be able to return? Well, Carl Darby Warner explains his story from his most recent concussion.
And then I remember getting hit in the forehead, brushed it off and thought nothing of it, I'll crack on. And it wasn't until it was a couple of minutes later where I then had my head in the wrong place for another tackle and then had a head-on-head collision. And then I remember not much after that, and then just sort of being on the floor, on my hands and knees, with going, oh, that's a bit odd to be down here. And then I was struggling to get up, and afterwards, and then that's when I got told to get off the pitch. Got assessed by their medic, and was told, like, this is the telltale signs of concussion. You need to be off. You're off now for 2 weeks. So we were moving up the league, and we're gonna win this. So I was like, I'm going in for it. I'm going to do everything I need to do. And then I don't know what happened over the summer, but my confidence dropped, and I became very aware that I did have several head injuries and several bouts of concussion. And then I only started coming back a couple of weeks ago, so I've missed quite a bit of the season, but that's more of a confidence thing. And then we played on Saturday, and I needed that. I needed to come back in a really slow, gradual phase for me to go, do you know what, I can still do this, I can still do the heavy hits, I can still...
The players always have one person looking out for them. In this case, it is Steph Smith. But how willing are they to listen when they get told to go off? And which position, based off experience, is it most likely will get concussions in Steph's eyes?
I think, as a player myself, no one wants to admit that they might have had, you know, you've played yourself, it's the adrenaline that goes with playing, and that feeling of like you're there with your friends and you're trying to do the best you can. It is really disappointing to pick up an injury, but to pick up a head injury, I think they're the same as when they pick up ankle injuries or knee injuries or something that hurts and they know they have to come off. Yeah. They're exactly the same. It's definitely fine, I can walk it off and have some cold spray. So the head injury, absolutely fine, can have some water. I'm going to say it's the backs, just because we do tackle, but but actually we're really, really fast. So the really big hits tend to be forward on forward, or forward on back, but you tend to be forward on forward. So I would say probably see more forwards in my clinic than I have backs.
Sometimes even the medics have had to experience concussion themselves whilst playing for their club.
I have no recollection of the 2 days before. I've seen a video of the tackle, I don't remember it, and I don't remember 2 days afterwards.
With the Outlaws forward Ross Lowe having only just been able to recover from a concussion and start playing again recently, how long did it take for him to realise that he had the concussion? And then how has he tried to have his return start with the help of their club medic?
Both collided and then fell back from each other. And then I immediately was like, no, I feel like if I keep standing, I'm going to fall on my face. So I quickly ran off and sat down. And then they were like, no, that's it, no more. And I was like, I'm fine. I mean, really, it was a bit of a headache. I was all right. And then they were like, no, you can't play anymore. Sit down, put an ice pack on it. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, yeah, I agree with you. So I suppose it should be a little bit of a build-up, but for me it wasn't. The doctor told me to take a month off. I've taken a month and a half. And then on Saturday I played my first game and my first anything back was a match. But I agreed with the physio beforehand just because it was, she evaluated me in the warm-up and said I was okay. But we both agreed I'll only do 20 minutes regardless of what happens, just to sort of ease back into things. And then this is my first training session back.
The coaching staff are some of the most important people to try and help the players recover from their injuries and concussions. So how do the coaching staff know when a concussion's cleared, and also how to help the players like Ross avoid having another concussion in the future for the mistakes that they have previously made? Well, Andy Ward explains his experiences.
So I've played, a lot of my adult life, and I played some at juniors. So, sort of generally, you know how to tackle, you know how to do all the basics, and you kind of know in yourself probably what caused it. Got your head the wrong side, bit of poor technique, etc. So you kind of do a bit of self-analysis really, and you can build on it. For those that are less experienced, definitely someone's seen it from the sideline. You can, there's always coaching pointers for everyone, but it just gives you something to help build and develop that player further with as well. So as much as it wasn't great, there's learnings that can be taken from it, and you can make them a better player from it as well.
Yeah. And when you hear the news of these head injuries for the professional players, does that ever make you question almost how likely is it to happen in your game in a way? How likely are you to get the same kind of injury based off of the same play, or do you always...
Not really, no. I'd say the amount of Tuesday night training and a game a Saturday, 2 or 3 a month, say, the intensity and the level and the quantum of play and head knocks is just way less, isn't it? Yeah. They're playing at an intensity and a pace on a Saturday or a Sunday that's way above anything we do. Those blows to the head are massive, and then also they're doing all the training during the week as well. They're paid to do it every day of the week almost, aren't they? So their risk and the amount that they're exposed to it is way higher than we'd ever be exposed to.
Joe Ferguson is also slowly becoming someone who would have to look out for the players, having just recently attended a seminar surrounding refereeing and how to look out for the players.
The big focus is on safety in rugby, and one of the sections was about how to spot concussions, and it's for the referee. You're not always going to see it because there's other signs other than the actual impact that you would see that would be a telltale of having concussion. They went through videos of things that have happened, so we'd be looking at the way that players react after an impact. If you might not see the impact, but you might see them struggle to get up. You might see them take a knee or take a bit longer to get up, or you'd see the reaction of maybe the medical support.
With all the new equipment being made, such as the new gum shield, which will sense head collisions and let the medic know, the hope will be for all doctors, players, coaches and medics that the number of concussions in the coming years will lower, and therefore they will be able to have an easier game with no long-lasting effects.